Board of Commissioners meeting to order. And would someone like to volunteer to say the mission and vision?
You're welcome. Liverpool Metropolitan Park District mission statement to provide a welcoming public aquatics facility managed in a fiscally responsible manner with a focus on educating all ages in the lifelong skills of water safety. We carry out this mission with a board and staff who are compassionate, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of our diverse community, working to foster positive and lifelong experiences with aquatic environments. The Tukwila Pool Metropolitan Park District Vision Statement, contributing to the quality of life for our community and for future generations through welcoming, fun, safe, and positive aquatic experiences at the Tukwila Pool.
Thank you, Commissioner Dangler. Very nice. Now next is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start with roll call when ready. Commissioner Song.
Commissioner Andrew Stahl, present.
Commissioner Frangel Anderson, present.
Commissioner Dangler, present.
Commissioner Shipman.
Commissioner Shipman, present.
And we are also joined by our new clerk, Jennifer Hanna, and our programs manager, Anastasia Shapiro. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Commissioner Frangel Anderson, seconds.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Next thing on the agenda is a play of the month. Let's see.
All right. Our employee of the month is Ahmad. Ahmad has been taking a strong leadership role in our team. He has been upholding the highest of standards at the Tukwila Pool. He's always willing to jump in, take care of tasks, be present. Equally, he is just as strong in our swim instructing team. His goal is to make the swimmers great swimmers, excited to come to the pool. So he's just been doing a really great job. So we just want to highlight that.
Nice, thank you, Amon. Next is citizen comment. There were quite a few. Brad, do you want to talk about citizen comments?
Yeah, I can quickly, one second. This one is, again, just positive, still working on getting my ankle. People are just looking forward to pool being back open. Really, at the end of the day, we've received anecdotally as well as emails. It's just great to know people don't give us as hard of a time as they would other pools during closure because of our lack of closures. And so it's always tends to just be positive feedback from our folks.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much for that input. It's great. One thing I was going to bring up right now, just because I don't think it's appropriate to wait till the end, is to, although it's not really a citizen comment, it's thank you to citizens. And Dave Cookie has been, especially of late, extremely dedicated and contributing greatly to the Tukwila Pool Metropolitan Park District. I know Brad in his report has talked about his help during the closure and bringing his truck over, as well as helping the locker, the bench refinishing and the grids, just really stepping up as a community volunteer. So, and then also attending the Tukwila School District meetings as a citizen, but supporting the pool. So, just want to recognize Dave for his outstanding work and dedication as a citizen and supporter of our great pool. So thank you to him.
Thank you, Dave Cookie.
Moving on to the consent agenda.
Commissioner Stahl would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Dangler, second.
Is there any discussion on the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from our December 9th, 2024 BoC regular meeting and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Moving on to reports, the operations report.
I don't know. Well, I just formally in front of all commissioners, for those of you that have not had a chance or may have just meet Jennifer. Jennifer, welcome to the Temple Municipal Park District. Do you want to just jump in and share a little bit about yourself or anything? And you don't have to, I'm just putting you on the spot.
No, hi, I'm glad to be here. I love this kind of stuff and I'm just excited to be part of the team.
Awesome. So yeah, Jennifer just jumped right in. As you know, board packet is the very first task.
Thank you.
So much appreciated. Did you have something you want to share?
No, I just wanted to just say, just point of procedure to add a report, executive director
Yes.
report above operations,
Perfect.
just in the future. That was our template.
Oh, that's great. And I'll just pick out a few things. Really, the biggest thing that is coming up, and it's in tonight's board packet, Washington City's Insurance Authority, our annual assessment, we'll be discussing later. Facilities, we had a temporary pool closure outside of our scheduled pool closure, unplanned due to our main pool pump. That pool pump has been addressed in terms of has been repaired, which is why we are fully operational again today. But we are not, for lack of better, in the clear. Our main pool pump will need to be replaced. And so I've already communicated with the Finance Committee, Jerry, as well as Vanessa, just to loop both parties in. So we're all in the loop as we continue to work through this. So right now we're in the process of sourcing a new pump and parts. So that way, when we get to the actual end of life on that pump, we are ready just to install. We'll spend like a full day installing, so we're not out unexpectedly until parts arrive. So we're in the process of sourcing brand new pool pumps.
Good question, Brad. As we go through the feasibility study, should we decide to add water space wherever we end up, would this pump be able to work, or you make sure that it works?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. Could we effectively transfer this pump to another part of our system in the future? Most likely. It depends on the volume of the pool that it will serve. Each pump is rated within the health department, so we're required to provide X type of pump based on our required flow rate and turnover rate in terms of gallons per minute that we need to pull through the system to filter. So in theory, yeah, in good working condition within a certain time frame, I could see it being able to be transferred to a smaller body warm water pool.
Or possibly be kept as a spare.
Because each pump has different measurements, right? And so the pump, the reason why we're really moving forward with getting as much information and bid together for a pump is we can't do a like for like replacement currently. If we were, we wouldn't have to change any of our piping, even by an inch or less than. So a new pump's gonna require us to make some modifications. And so it all depends on the new design, right? But we're gonna get there. So new pool pump is being sourced. That's the biggest update. I just want to make sure everyone's in the loop with. More information as we make our way to finance and as I continue to receive information from our pool companies. And then this pump will not be supplied by Kinstry, most likely. The Kinstry, their service team has made me aware, sourcing the pool pump is just, it's not their bandwidth, their wheelhouse, right? So that's why we're gonna be working, to get information from Orca Pacific Pool Company and WMS Aquatics, two of the vendors we currently use for certain work. So they will keep us in the loop when they, provide those details. Employee assistance program, just so everybody's aware, our agreement, renewal 2025 through 2027, and no change to costs, which is phenomenal, especially as we're going through the budget. That's one area that we were kind of curious on. So that's very positive for us. So no change in rates for our next 2-year agreement for our employee assistance program. The last two pieces, and I don't know if Anastasia has already put it in the operations report, these just came up. I just wanted to make sure they got shared and you already signed the thank you card, so I appreciate that. We did receive a donation, I'll let Anastasia talk a little bit more there, for our current fundraising. And then, Riverton Church, has reached out to the Tuckville Pool to engage in, some discussion on providing swim opportunities, for some of those that live on site, as well as maybe future water safety programs. So just a heads up, we've invited them to a discussion, so just waiting, and so we'll provide an update as we continue that meeting, so.
All right, so this, operations report, so we just started our solicitation registration this week. We'll provide, I'm sure Brad will discuss this more, but we'll provide more updates, at PMOC with final numbers and things like that. Some major changes to note is, capacity has been reduced for our shark classes, and that was a, purposeful change, to allow for more instruction time per student, and it's a little bit easier to manage. And then our eligibility for Shark 1 has also changed. So students who have passed Minnow 3, which for reference is our 3 to 5-year-olds, if they have passed Minnow 3, they are now eligible for Shark 1, regardless of their age. Red Cross told us, don't hold them back, keep them moving forward. So we do have a few, just a couple that have registered for Shark 1 who are 5 years old. And then our scholarship eligibility, I have extended family scholarship eligibility through the end of this month. So that way it allows us time to process new applications, educate, so on and so forth. So the new deadline for the upcoming session will be the 23rd of January for families to submit applications. And then a new class was added. I have a teen class, which will mirror our Shark 1 class. So it's gonna mirror our Shark classes. Unfortunately, nobody has registered for that class as of today, but it's gonna take some time and education. Historically, we have seen this time to be a lower registration time, and I can go more into that at PMOC, but we typically start to see registration pick up towards summer. And lastly, our rate increase, I have not heard any anecdotal or received any emails regarding our issue with our rate increase, so people seem to be understanding. So no issues there, just more questions about scholarships, which I was happy to provide some of that information. Another update on our USA Swim Grant, well, there are no updates, it was submitted in December, day before the deadline. But we won't know until about February, if we qualify or receive the grant. And again, that is for our Shoalter Middle School swim program that I am hoping to launch in the spring. So that'll take up our 245 to 345. Swim club, we have more registered now. I can tell it is currently 30 out of 30 participants registered as of right now. Capacity has technically been increased to 40. It has always been 40, but I had to finagle our lessons, so no, I can no longer offer any upper level lessons during our 5 to 6 hour. They've all shifted to the 6 to 7 hour to allow us the entire pool space. Today we had about 6 kids per lane, so we had 5 lanes. Yeah, we had 6 kids per lane, 5 lanes, so we were pretty full. Giving treat, I was able to get our Explore Recreation working. I don't know if any of you have received that newsletter that I sent out, but donors don't have to create an account. They can check out as guests, which is very helpful. The next step would be to get a thermometer up on the TV, things like that. So I was able to get that working.
Yes,
We have
thank
received,
you.
yes.
Good job.
Right, it's okay. And we, yeah.
Everybody's needs, so I appreciate the work on that.
Yeah, definitely, and we did receive that large donation, very, very grateful for that donation. I don't know the swimmer, they've only swam with us once, so I don't know, them, I have not met them personally, I don't think so. I'm keeping an eye out for them while I'm at the front desk, and, I will be giving them a phone call tomorrow, and then mailing that card to them as a thank you for their large donation. They basically met 20% of our goal, so with one donation, they have met 20% of our goal, donating $500 to each program, so
The goal is,
$5,000 just across the board between swim lessons and Mako sharks. And again, we're gonna keep it open year round with updated links on the website. Certification course, the only class going on right now is our WSI class. Just looking ahead, our next class is gonna be our lifeguard class in February, but we did have to push our WSI class a little bit because of the facility closure recently. Water aerobics, nothing new about that one. The report is attached. I mean, we had a half month basically, so nothing new there. Kelly's class will now be every Friday except for the last Friday. So that is something that I worked out with her, hoping to get another instructor to cover that Friday night for consistency. But she has agreed to do every Friday, just so our customers are aware of the consistency in our class offerings. Our scheduled maintenance closure, as Brad mentioned, went well. Thank you to Dave Cookie. He was such a huge help. Our staff, our head guard team learned a lot from him. I will say they have taken up and really took the time to focus on some of those details that they may not have focused on if it wasn't for his help. So we greatly appreciate him kind of managing that while we were off doing some other projects. So we really appreciate Dave Cookie there. Our facility closure, or the emergency one we talked about, so I won't mention that, but we were able to get a few things done, like reorganizing the downstairs and organizing our staff areas. Swim club usage, not much to say for this one. Mako Sharks, we only had a half month because I ended it a couple weeks into December, so to match our swim lesson ending, so not much to say there. We'll get a better picture of our full usage this month, so the next report. So yeah, other than that, most notable things, SMAC is underutilizing Fridays. PDST is consistent, nothing else there. Hoping to include Kennedy and Foster in the next season of swim club.
Anastasia, I have a question. Are we not doing the parent talk class?
Not right now. I prefer quality over quantity, so
Yeah,
I would like to get an instructor that is able to provide a quality lesson that I'm looking for in our parent talk classes. One notable thing is the wait list is now working. Yes, the wait list is working, so we are able to get that wait list working. We'll see those numbers later, but that's the reason why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
there was something that we said we shouldn't forget to mention. Did we already mention it?
What Vanessa wanted to make sure that we mentioned was that and you have taken care of it, you took care of it probably a long time ago, the Tukwila labor law.
Yeah.
So that was taken care of and the pool is in compliance.
And last thing, for operations, we are now down at TCC. We have our facility schedule down there with our brochures, so I hope they did not move that sign once I put it up on Saturday.
It is still there when it's inside.
Okay, I hope so. I hope so. I'll be reaching out to Michael if it's not there. They were super helpful. The sign was just behind the front desk, so.
I appreciate the poster in the front of the building, and so do our customers. So thank you for duplicating that for the physical building.
Are there any other questions for operations? I just had one real quick one, and I know you're gonna probably address it, Mark, and it's just regarding the team program. I'm just so happy that we're starting to go down the pathway of team lessons. I just talked to another family just over the weekend who graduated from Foster or currently is seniors in Foster's, never, still don't know how to swim. So I'm just curious about, obviously we're gonna be marketing to the high school and the middle school. Okay, so we got plans to do that in the future.
Yeah, I want to talk to our swim coaches and helping identify maybe students to start up the program, those who, especially their scholarship or anything like that, to help support them outside of that Showalter swim program, see if they need lessons, because I hate to see I'm offering 2 team classes right now, both not registered for, so I'd hate to see it not being utilized, so at the very least, we can help support some kids through that program.
Yeah, I get just a matter of letting people know.
Mhm.
Yes. There are, according to the conversation I had with the family, who came up through foster as you did, there were, not the only ones who don't want to swim graduating from high school, so, I think there's a lot of need. So thank you for doing that, I really appreciate it. All right, moving on to finance committee, Jerry.
No report. We did not have a meeting in December. Our next meeting is Monday, January 27th at 5:30.
Is there anything of note on that agenda?
Anything of note? No, just reviewing the policies that we approved in change verbiage. And I do think that, I don't think policy 310 operating was part of the financial conduct.
Yeah,
Um,
all right, yeah.
But besides that, that's all I have at this moment. I just sent out the information today to operations.
Thank you. The biggest item will be the 2024 year end, but that comes in February, just as we know, but just so everybody's aware, that one will be a report that I think everyone will be really interested in.
Just a quick note of clarification, because I did not include Anastasia or Matthew on those when I send them out. I'm not used to including them for the finance, but I probably should start sending the agenda.
Yeah.
And anything that you'd like to add to that. I will forward that to you and Matthew, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Any questions for finance? Seeing none, we'll move on to BoC. Ellen, do you want to?
Yeah, so I was at the meeting. I'm gonna have to borrow it again. I have two TPAC meetings here. And you all got draft copies of the minutes that were just handed out in a timely manner of today. So Anastasia was there, Sheridan, Aaron, Shivan, Di was there, Brad and I were there. Brad started with showing holiday cards, which is really good. The pool got several holiday cards. It was very joyous, and they were very nice. And Anastasia explained that she had found a solution for online giving. Yay, Anastasia. We also talked about the new brochure, and Anastasia working with Hanson Graphics on one page, one side, that will also be a poster focused on water safety. And some of the things that came up is that are kind of exciting is that the Tecolo Pool is a CEU provider for CPR, which is a great selling point for people who need CEUs. The rec center brochure is, one or possibly more pages. We're waiting to hear from them. And then we have an update on the trifold. We also talked about Q1 marketing with the egg which is scheduled for 3/22. And having information available for the egg hunt by February 3rd, and focusing on social media and distribution of the brochure by 1/31 with review of the brochure on 1/18. We also had just some more additional marketing. Again, the rec insert doesn't have a deadline on this, and we're waiting for Parks and Rec to give us a deadline. And Anastasia was gonna work on a timeline for the one-page flyer. The trifold is gonna be done by 3/8 to the printer and ready to distribute by 3/31. And then we also talked about the hazelnut, which is the communication the city distributes, and we wanna see if maybe we can become a community contributor. We noticed if you look at the last hazelnut, they have a whole page, which was split up with 2 vendors, and we'd like to be one possibly. Anastasia also talked about the USA Learn to Swim grant. It's really exciting what you're doing, Anastasia, with Showalter Middle School, and the Shipmans offered that, it might be good to hook up with Miss Paulson's class as far as helping to promote, and Anastasia is totally aware of that. I believe that the ratio is 6-to-1, students to instructor, and it would be an after-school program, 7th and 8th grade, possibly freshmen. We also talked about 6th grade, so more information coming on that. And then there was also discussion about playtime from 2:45 to 3:45 for students, and also trying to find a grant for like the Mako Sharks people that would cover like swimwear and goggles, possibly like have a whole. Anastasia was very enthusiastic, and rightfully so, about having like a like a welcome pack. That would be like a backpack with, logo on it, and a swimsuit that would be, because a lot of the kids are, they don't know how to buy appropriate swimwear, so actually working with the kids, working with somebody to help fit, which I believe, you know what, I don't think I told you, Vanessa, our president, has a lot of history in tailoring, as does Di,
I
actually.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so they might be, we want to make sure that kids have appropriate, well-fitting swimwear. Talking about a splash league this summer, and then also using the swim-a-thon as a fundraising opportunity. So it was a very good meeting, it was very robust, and lots of discussion.
Thank you. For a very detailed report.
Sometimes you have to wait for quality.
Thank you. I like the format, and I like it broken out by each of those topics and agenda items, so I appreciate this.
Absolutely, I have a template for that.
And just for process, additional materials posted. Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions about BoC? When's your next meeting?
Oh, this Saturday,
Saturday?
yeah. It's me and Jerry.
No, this is BoC, not TPAC.
Oh, sorry, it's this Saturday.
It's regardless, it's you.
It doesn't matter, it's this Saturday.
And that's at the community center. Do you remember
And
which?
the executive committee, or meeting room, the nice meeting room.
Is that the one with the fireplace or the one we always meet at?
The one with the little kitchen there.
The old senior,
Oh, okay, yeah, where the fireplace is.
well, the fireplace is over there, it's
Oh,
right
right.
next to the fireplace,
In
right?
the event, they do weddings and.
Yeah, but it used to be
Why
the
did they take it out?
senior, well, it used to be the senior room, and then they turned it into rental office.
Right. Oh,
It was a whole thing. But anyway, that's just noted that.
and the community center is open as far as we know, right?
As far as I'm aware, and the meeting space is available.
They're open,
Okay.
yeah, no, we've been going through it.
Okay, good.
The meeting space supports kind of where we're trying to go, especially when like we're sharing feasibility information or
Yeah,
there's a little presentation report. The infrastructure is built into the meeting room, which is really nice. So we're not scrambling with whiteboards and projectors and things. So this would be a good change for us.
And actually, the community center wanted it because
Yeah, sure.
they wanted to use that one.
oh, okay.
So Shannon was very accommodating as I can.
That worked out well. All right, moving on to TPAC. Ellen, you took the minutes, you wanted to.
I did. Okay, so also, you should have received minutes tonight. So TPAC, we had Matthew was there, Anastasia, Sharon, Aaron, Diane, Brad, and me. Basically, there was Brad and Matthew and Anastasia all talked about the maintenance closure, and there was a really great flow chart that was included. The flow chart. Which showed the timeline and everything, and it was very informative, and members really appreciated that. And the expectation was to open on 1/1. We went into incidents and accidents. That was kind of a lengthy conversation. There were basically 4 incidents, 2 involving homeless folks, and 1 involving a patron and the diving board, and 1 involving a patron and their arm issue in the locker room. But everything was, was resolved satisfactorily. There were some suggestions made by various people, including, Brad talked about wanting to move the cameras so that you had a better idea of who was coming into the lobby. And also, we also talked about Brad having a resource flyer available for some of the homeless, just to give them some, resources for what they need. And then we talked about staff training and escalating issues. Because we do have a lot of young staff, we don't want them to be uncomfortable. So, how to escalate, how to talk with people, and talking, just emphasizing safety and processes. And there was a question about whether we needed to, in some case, might we need to, get some sort of policy maybe on trespassing. And then Brad talked about working with the insurance pool regarding risk pool and rates, and that was a really interesting discussion because it seems like in a rate pool, there's like one particular pool that seems to have a lot of issues, like, what did you say, 40 or 60%?
They make up almost 50% of the claims in the pool.
Yeah.
That we are, positioned in, I believe.
Yeah, so you were talking about options with that. Then we talked about the discussion with the school district, and Dr. Pedrosa has been instructed to negotiate with Tukwila Pool for a lease. Sorry about that. Brad's going to reach out. There was also some discussion about a parent committee group, and this is a regular group of Tukwila School District parents who meet regularly. Brad's going to attempt to reach out to the facilitator and see if the pool could, there was some questions, I guess, that came up regarding feasibility. And we just want to make sure that, there seemed to be a lot of misinformation. So we wanted to make sure that, if they wanted to get more information, we could provide that for them. Di and I reported on the Tukwila Historical Society, which had an open house in December, and it's a great way to reach, some more members, more community members in Tukwila. And then Brad talked about pool staffing, and yay, we have a district clerk, so yay, good job. And restructuring management team is something that Brad is currently working on. And Brad also discussed creating an annual report to submit to the board and available on the internet. So that was TPAC.
Wow, thank you for a very detailed report. Thank you also for covering the most expense. Really appreciate that. Are there any questions regarding TPAC? Everyone sees the new TPAC commissioner attendance schedule in the packet. So if you have any questions, issues, just talk to the alternate. And yeah, thanks. And Jerry will be there most times. Most times. If you want. So yeah, perfect. Thank you. And thank you to TPAC once again for wonderful volunteers.
Amazing volunteers.
The next one is feasibility, and that's, so we did not meet this month due to all the multiple presentations we've been doing, and we decided to take, with everything else that was going on, we took this month to start to collect our thoughts as to our moving forward in the year. As you know, we've done our presentations this fall, and we then attended TSD, well, virtually a TSD meeting and then in-person TSD meeting regarding the lease. And I'm sure most of you know that what came out of the last TSD meeting from their board was they directed their superintendent to work with a DCP on this. So that's where we are at. We haven't yet to hear, but we will be following up with them shortly to see how we can move forward together. We have a meeting on January 20th at 4:30, which is next Monday, and our focus is going to be looking about grants, fundraising, funding. And grants, we do have to push forward with requesting financial audit from the state auditor's office this year. So we need to do that in the next couple of months so that we have to, because it sounds like according to the bonding company, it may take a couple of prods to convince them that, yes, that's what we need, and that's what we need for our grants. We're going to continue talking about location and have a conversation of what that looks like, just making sure we're looking at all options and going forward. And regarding funding, the focus on funding is actually going to be grant writing, looking into researching grant writers and to get someone on board so that we can meet the March deadline for the King County Flights Grant. And that is, let's get into next Monday at 4:30. Does anyone have any questions for feasibility?
Just one addition, because it came up
Yeah.
today, Stuart Isaac.
Oh, okay.
You and I will catch up, but we may be meeting at the end of the week since he will be in town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just heard from him. So we're still engaged in that process as well.
Okay. now we're gonna move to business items, and we're gonna start with business item A. And that is the annual auditing officer resolution. And we do this every year, and this year we are adding executive director as someone who can sign the vouchers. So it updates our president and clerk, as well as authorizing people who are commissioners, our CPA and our executive director to sign the vouchers. The only difference would be is if the executive director needed to prepare the vouchers, then it would be two commissioners. So currently it would be Brad and Jerry signing them, but Brad prepared it, then it would be another commissioner would be brought in to sign it. Just FYI. So I'm looking for a motion to approve or to read by title only resolution 2025-01.
Commissioner Saul would like to make a motion to read resolution 2025-01, auditing officer delegation resolution by title only.
Commissioner Kendall, seconds.
Is there any discussion about reading by title only? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye. Sorry. It was a long trying to get the mute off.
That's okay, Aaron. Jennifer, do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
I can, let me see. Let me read it, 'cause there might be more on it.
Okay. Resolution 2025-01, auditing officer delegation resolution. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Tukwila Pool Metropolitan Park District appointing of auditing officers for the purpose of authorizing the issuance of warrants and electronic transactions prior to Board of Commissioners approval for Tukwila Pool Metropolitan Park District number 17591. I'm now looking for a motion to approve resolution 2025-01.
Commissioner Saul would like to make a motion to approve resolution 2025-01, auditing officer delegation.
Commissioner Kendall, seconds.
Any discussion on resolution 2025-01? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving resolution 2025-01?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Resolution 2025-01 is approved.
That's my last one.
Yes, that will be sent, so you will be receiving, Jerry and I will be receiving resolution to sign, but everyone will get the AP King County form to sign, so just looking for that in your mailbox, thanks to reminding us. And then that will get sent off to King County, and then at that point, once it's approved, then Brad can start signing. Once we get confirmation back from King County. All right, moving on to business item 8B, expenditure approval, WCIA. That's Brad.
Let's do it. Standard business item, beginning of every year, our liability assessment with our insurance company, again, WCIA. So I am requesting the board approve this expenditure, and the reason, again, it comes to the board is over the general operations as well as finance committee threshold for approval. This, nothing out of the ordinary. I'll just jump in real quick. Nothing out of the ordinary. Typically, we see a small increase. These increases are essentially in line with what we're seeing in the industry, and again, attending the board meeting at the later end of the year, nothing that catches us off guard as an operations team. Liability is the biggest increase in the policy, and that's the biggest increase most, if not all, our municipalities will typically carry. The one area that you typically will see no change to is our crime and fidelity. And then very minimal increases in property and equipment. We budgeted for the 2025 budget $51,000 $51,813.85. I am requesting the board approve the invoice for $44,953, which will go into this week's bill scans. to make the end of January payment deadline, for the bill.
So I just had, sorry, does anyone have any questions for Brad regarding this? So, I'm just asking Brad and Jerry to take and Will Finance to look at Des Moines package. They're doing a special meeting on the 14th, tomorrow, and it's for the purpose of opting out of WCIA. Theirs went from 37,000 in 2024 to 59,000 in 2025. I haven't had time to really dig into exactly what it is, but it was significant. I mean, we had significant increases before, but what concerns me is 2026, they have listed that'll go to 89,000. Yes, so it went from 37 to 59 to 89.
So do we, if Des Moines got a projected 2026, did we get a projected 2026?
No.
So I'm just asking to do a little bit of digging in here, because what was also listed was that the district can withdraw from membership prior to the end of the year or in 2025, should it wish to do so. As previously advised, the executive committee waived the 1-year notice requirement effective October 11th, 2024, because normally we would have had to have given notice January 1st for next year if we wanted to opt out. That for this 1 year has been waived. So if it's something that we want to pursue, we do have some time, we've got the year to pursue it. But the intent of waiving the 1-year notice was to allow Group 5 members, like Brad was talking about, to opt out of membership for 2026, since rates will be calculated under a new rating system. Members will receive notification of their new rate at or about July 2025. So I find it interesting that that's what their projection is when they're saying here that you're not getting it till 2025, the rate
Well,
projection.
correct, which is why I have not brought anything. There's a board meeting this week, so
Yeah.
more information to come, and I will be attending, Anastasia will also be attending as our alternate. So after that board meeting, I think there'll be a little bit more clarity, to what their goals and their plans are with Group 5 members. And again, Group 5, amongst other things, but Group 5 is a topic area, a hot topic, because Group 5 that we're pulled in, again, is one of those pools where one entity makes up a big percentage of the claims, which is, again, affecting everybody's liability and assessment fees. So I think we'll know more at the board meeting. They made it clear at our past board meeting that it will be about July, that we'll understand what the real implications are, because they were also exploring whether or not they want to remove some of the entities from Group 5 and start a new group, where they were very clear, some groups, and we don't know who yet, some groups may be pleasantly surprised with their rates. Some groups may not be happy with their rates. So I know, like the early projection, I get it.
So they've got quotes from AWC and, where is it? From AWC, Cities Insurance Association Washington, which is CIAW, and then Endurance, they don't have the quote from, but they've solicited quotes, so it's good to just use their information.
What would AWC
So for example, their bill for this year is 59,000. Their quote from AWC is 45,000. Their quote from CIAW was 49,000. So both of those quotes came in less. And once again, I did not dig into the details. I do see earthquake coverage in here, so I don't know whether we have that.
We'll do a deeper dive into our policy with our rep.
These I'm guessing that these are apples to apples comps. So regardless, it's showing less for those two comps within Des Moines.
Right, I was going to say, within Des Moines.
Within Des Moines. So,
fees, because in line with our current fees of
Yes.
44,000, so both those quotes.
So,
came in well within line of what we're currently paying.
It's really interesting that Des Moines quote for this 2025 is so much higher.
the only thing I'm wondering is earthquake insurance, because they're quoting earthquake insurance in this, and I know that's, if we have earthquake insurance, that typically is as a premium. So I don't know I'm just looking apples to apples, what they are being quoted, and consistently both those two is less. So it might be worth looking into, so that if I know in July is when we typically get it, we've gotten those notices before in July, so that we have an idea of whether we would like to opt out, because it looks like that opt-out is there's no I didn't see a date on the opt-out, so that's something maybe to ask at the meeting about, is there a deadline for that opting out? It looked like it was for the year that we could opt out, so.
And just a couple of things, so it seems like Des Moines got some sort of quote for 2026 from our current insurance. We have not received that yet.
We don't normally receive it till July.
Right, but somehow Des Moines got it, which is.
Des Moines got
it
it has a number.
Like,
Yes.
it was like 80,000.
Yeah,
something.
89,
138% increase from 2024.
That's interesting. And do we know, is tomorrow's meeting, Des Moines Cool meeting, is it a hybrid? Are they gonna have virtual?
It's a
option?
hybrid meeting, yeah.
So somebody could, whoever wants to jump on it, they can.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So I'm just gonna read right off of here, just so you guys have more information. Most other parks and recreation districts have larger risk management costs. We have none in the last 10 years. Moving all park districts to a more expensive category in 2026, which is interesting, because that's something quite a little different than what Brad just shared with us. And although DPMPD has no loss history, there is no reward like AWC and RMSA offer for good risk mitigation. So that's an interesting piece, that you don't get, good driver discounts,
Right.
so to speak.
We can get that here.
Yeah.
Was that, I'm sorry, did you say good diver?
We don't get that with our insurance.
No, but that's what AWC
But those
offers.
other two places do.
And RMCA, so that's something interesting. I'm not
Yeah,
saying,
I know you're not
always good
advocating,
to
but
know.
It's great information, we follow their information quite a bit, and it's no secret they've been unhappy with their insurance assessments for the last few years. You switch insurance companies next year, and what's gonna happen next year? Okay, we're gonna raise rates.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're back in the same boat. We can shop, and we will, because there's a group that I'm very familiar with, that I'd love for us to move to, because they strictly specialize on community centers and YMCA's and pools. That is their specialty, and they're an incredible insurance company. But it does come down to cost and resources, and what do these insurance companies provide in addition to just insurance, right? What are those other pieces? WCIA, one of the downsides is they've also capped our reimbursement fees, right? For trainings and things. So we used to get reimbursed for select trainings every year, and that's now been capped to
2%.
Oh.
It was nothing.
Yeah. It's-
Yeah, when we started doing all that.
So changes are coming, and they made it clear at the board meeting that, they're not struggling in the sense like, oh my gosh, we're going bankrupt, but they're struggling to get underwriters to underwrite policies, affecting costs, right? And so we're in Western Washington, just like Des Moines. And so, as Christine has also reported out, right, there's nuclear verdicts, right, where people are awarding more and more in these large verdicts when folks go to trial. And so that also affects our rates, so.
But that would affect the rates no matter who the insurer is.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. I would be curious to see where they go and when they make that decision. But yeah, we'll connect with or I believe it's Carly, our rep.
Yeah.
And just kind of, the biggest question mark for me is, how do you get a 2026 assessment when it hasn't been fully discussed? Is it the assumption that the rate's gonna jump to 80-something thousand, just a loose discussion, or is it officially quoted at? And how did we get there, right? Because I have not seen that, and nor have I heard we were giving assessments out
Yeah. And I'm, once again, just bringing it because other people have done research, so there's no point in, if people have already started bringing stuff together here, we may as well look at it and see it,
Absolutely.
It would be fascinating.
leverage on
Yeah.
that.
Curiosity.
When's that meeting, Brad?
Our board meeting is, the first of the two board meetings for WCA is, the 17th, I think.
Oh,
It's Friday.
This Friday, thank you.
Are you coming on the 6th? No, it's kind of.
Yeah.
You already, yeah, that's on.
And Jerry, or any commissioner, if you have free time, I am more than happy to share the link and you're more than welcome to attend.
And when is it?
Friday.
What time?
At 9.
Yeah.
How long?
Oh, the actual meeting is at 10:30, because the public works.
So there's opportunity. I can share a calendar invite to you if you'd like to join.
It's just.
All right, so, is there any just more discussion on, I know it's a longer discussion, but I try to get, with information. Is there any other discussion? Seeing that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the expenditure of the WCIA invoice in the amount of $44,953 for the 2025 year.
Commissioner Saul would like to make a motion to approve invoice 200443 for the total of $44,953.
Commissioner Gangler, second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving invoice for WCIA insurance 2025, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, moving on to miscellaneous. Yes.
Legislative report.
Hey, we're not quite there yet. Let's do miscellaneous before that.
Sorry, we thought it was
Oh,
part
I'm
of the
sorry.
meeting.
Legislative report is paid.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Legislative.
Which is basically said that if we have any, that'll be prioritized.
Yeah, that'll be where I jump in the future, and I will be prioritizing this for you every month. Yeah, and I'll give you legislative updates.
So just a quick FYI, I can give you the top priorities right now.
Okay.
According to Trevor Jess, I reached out to our, just make WPRA guy, just to make sure we were still on the distribution list. So not a lot of difference this year, and we were. So we'll be getting, starting next Monday, I believe, we're gonna be seeing those updates. But the priorities for the year is to keep the Washington Wildlife Recreation Program at under 50 million or better, and that's good because these are grants. These are grants, and one of the issues with one of these grants is that it was previously, there was discussion about it not being available to local governments, only nonprofits. And so they're adding that clarification back so that that's what they're hoping to, is just make sure that local governments are able to get those grants. Youth athletic facilities, once again, full support. We were very familiar with that grant. No Child Left Inside, Recreation Access Grant, that they want that one to get renewed. That's a really good one for us. That's another possibility for a grant, because that's for prioritizing neighborhoods such as ours. So that's a good thing. They also want to raise awareness and potentially seek a legislative, this is the incongruency of that, which narrows the purpose of the recreational facility grant, and support advancement of efforts to increase the current 1% property tax. And that's not just a priority, that's saying they wanted to increase it to 3%. Then there's a strongly support, which is a separate pathway that says just to support increasing that. And the reason that matters to us is because our banked capacity. So our bank capacity increases by 1% per year. So even though we're not leveraging it, we always count on that. So if we can increase that bank capacity at a greater rate, that helps us too, even though we're not levying currently at our maximum. Just monitoring transportation packages, which once again is helpful for us if we're looking at just people being able to get to our facilities, so help schools, et cetera, which includes us. The roles parks and recreation play in helping to close the gap in early learning, school-age childcare by streamlining licensing requirements, especially in shared facilities, if we ever wanted to go down a route of a community tech center. So the play equity initiatives, another thing that we look into for grants. Changes to tax and fee collections that could positively or negatively impact park districts, and support recreational and community fixes. So legal action, other issues that could affect our professions. So that's what they're looking at for this year. But Jennifer will start reporting out on the actual things that happen. This is all what we wish and hope for. We all know what happens in the legislative session. It'll be interesting to see what bubbles up.
And it all starts today. Or started.
Oh, did they start
I
today?
think legislative session started today. Is that correct?
I started getting emails.
I did too. Does anyone else have any other miscellaneous?
I don't know.
Oh, do you?
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just wondering if we have an update on a report from Agreement Dynamics.
From who?
Agreement dynamics.
I have the final report, and it just needs to be formatted, outside the summary, which I will take care of, at this point. Yeah, so we're wrapping it up,
So you think by next month?
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll get a
And
report on it.
including the board packet if necessary, absolutely.
Or, yeah, we'll report on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Ellen?
I wanted to just bring up for discussion what you had shared with me, what the Mount Rainier pool did as far as banking their increase. Did you
Oh,
want to-
levying the full
Yeah,
amount?
yeah. I just thought it was interesting, and I don't know if everybody knows about it. And
Yeah,
You know, yeah. Just
so
want to open it up to just general discussion?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to
information.
let everybody know, and because it's an option that we could do.
Yeah, so they did a report and they hired a company to look into what they could do, what can they possibly do. And it confirmed what we had actually already found out through our meetings with our bonding company and our discussions with our attorney. Is to say that you can levy up to the full amount that is written on our November packet. It's that for us, it's like $4 million. We can levy up to that maximum amount every year if we so desire. And we choose to limit it to 15 cents per assessed value for operating the pool. They are choosing to levy their full amount. Now, their full amount is not as much as ours.
1.8, maybe 1.9.
No, it's more than that, but it's not, I can't remember the exact number, sorry, but it's not as much as ours. But they're choosing to do the maximum and start putting that money away for future, but also for any repairs that come up, et cetera. So they're choosing to just suck that away right now.
They can do that legally?
Yeah, we can too.
They don't have to do it via vote.
No, you can legally, whatever it says on your, levy worksheet, you can do the full amount, legally. You can, they actually have no authority to limit because it was all done before any legislation that was passed.
And also, it's not like it's an ongoing or it has to be ongoing. I mean, the organization can choose, we're gonna do this for 3 years. Okay, cool. Or we're gonna do it for 1 year, or we're gonna do it until we make enough capacity to do X. So right now, I think it's a 1 year. They've approved it this year.
Well, every year you approve
Right,
it.
oh, the good part with the,
So they, as far as we know, do we know if they said that we're gonna just do this forever?
Well, they had a projection, so part of this fancy report that they paid, a chunk of money for, did have a projection, and so it would be surprising if they were using this projection as their basis to go this pathway, that they wouldn't continue, because you wouldn't be able to meet those projection goals without doing that. It's, you know, I mean, I've had conversations with Steve Burke from William Shore over the years, and they do that. They decide how much money they need each year, and then they just levy it. So some years it's more, some, you know, Steve, he's pretty, you know, straightforward. And some years it's more, so it's what they need to run it. So the years they're doing capital stuff, they levy more. They, you know, put it out in their November packet and let people know, and there's nothing wrong about it. It's,
No, I just think it's you don't have to get the voters to vote for it. So it's not like some big capital project thing that you have to get additional money. It seems to me, I don't know if there's been any blowback from anybody in Des Moines going, oh my God, my taxes are gonna go up or whatever, but it seems to me to be an interesting approach. And especially since we're looking at, you know, doing something with the pool, whether, you know, whatever it is, we're gonna be ending up spending some money. So I just thought it was interesting, and we should bring it up to all the commissioners so that they're aware that this is what Des Moines is doing. Be interesting to, you know, kind of see what kind of blowback they get.
And
That's a
that's-
good case study, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see how the year goes, but also to see what to do for year two, I think is where my mind goes. Vanessa and I spent a lot of time talking to a bonding company, and a bonding company that's very familiar with our types of projects, public municipalities. They did William Shore, they were working with Sideview and some of the other pools that are all vetting projects. And same information, right? We wanted the same kind of knowledge. What does your vetting capacity do? What is within your authority? Whether you go to the voters, don't go to the voters, do you do a capital bond, do you do an improvement? So all these things are real. I think we are fortunate, and I think of this when I read what Des Moines chose to do. We're still operating on 15 cents, and we're healthy. But when you do look at where we're trying to go, what we're potentially trying to accomplish, and potentially looking at moving from the current site, where the district can potentially control their own land, you know, it is interesting to see what they're doing, because I think our goals would be very different than their goals. They're looking to fund capital, which we would obviously do the same for the current infrastructure, but I mean, to bank capacity, to have a contingency fund to essentially launch a project, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation. It's just good to have all the information to know what is possible. Another comment that I remember reading in that packet was they talked about bank capacity, and it didn't appear that they may not have done those resolutions, those extra resolutions on the years when the inflation was less than 1%. There was a discussion about that they didn't do those resolutions each year, that our inflation is less than 1%. We have always done that additional resolution, even though didn't matter, we were doing more than 1% because we were doing it based on 50 cents for the entire valuation. We always did that so that that initial valuation still kept growing by 1%. So we were intentional in doing that. Maybe they didn't, it seemed, maybe I was reading incorrectly, but the way that I read it, there was a discussion about that. So we did not limit ourselves. And obviously our valuation is so high. So when it grows by 1%, it's more impactful than when theirs grows by 1%. So it's that compounded thing.
But good for,
Yeah.
you know, I came to, after I read this and kind of thought through it and discussions, I go back to good for them, right? Public pools are becoming very, very few. Access to water safety programs outside of private clubs and YMCA's are becoming very, very few. And I think even Seattle, you know, us as special purpose districts, Evergreen as a nonprofit, we're all looking at what is happening to our infrastructure over the next 5 years. And everybody's fighting for some of the same monies, but if you have the ability to raise money, within your own special purpose district or your taxing district, yeah, it's fascinating to watch. This is the first time I've seen an organization say we're gonna start banking our capacity and start putting it into a fund for capital improvement and whatever else.
Well, and to be fair, Des Moines does do it different. They actually have gone above their 20 cents and stuff over the years, so they have increased it different, and they did 3 different projections, I believe, like if we did 20, if we did 30, if we did, I can't remember what their maximum was, 38 or 36 or something, 7,000 is what they are now down to, because you start at 75 and then over time, your valuation goes down, so, you know.
We can provide, I think that may actually be good for the volunteer group at TPAC. I'll provide the 3 suggestions that they, as a template and as a visual, I think it's good education. Came up here tonight, I think our volunteers would also be interested in hearing that. So we can do a quick discussion on it and provide kind of that visual, what those 3 projections are that they were anticipating, as well as kind of the educational material they provided their board for why they chose to go this way.
Yeah, the packet, because it shows the history of what they've done in the past.
I think that will be good. It's a good case study, and I think it's appropriate.
Yeah. And, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's good for, you know, like I said, talking about just looking at other, you know, that's being our kind of our life, looking at other people and that's one reason why I appreciate so much being able to access information at all these people's websites, is I can just go and grab it.
I can't find anything on
On Des Moines?
It's tricky because of their header.
Yeah.
You gotta find the X somewhere, even me, to get past the drop down.
But then like, for example, William Shore, when they were going through the whole process, I just went through and looked at all their minutes of their CIP process, and I just screenshotted the sections of like, okay, they did this month, this month, this month, this month, this month, and I just went through for that whole, whatever, 1.5 to 2 years of minutes, just so I had a better idea of what was their pathway of how they went through their CIP, their buildings, so that's really helpful.
Well, what's unique about both of those organizations, William Shore and Des Moines, aren't they still somehow affiliated with the city? Because we're completely removed from the city, are they not? Why do I always feel as though they're?
So, City of Des Moines, they have a contract with City of Des Moines to do some maintenance.
Oh, okay.
So that's the tie that Des Moines has, and then Port Angeles, their governance is kind of unusual because they have a mix of county commissioners and city council, and and I think one elected, it's this weird blend that actually doesn't exist, but they make it work. And they also have a relationship with the city for, I'm not sure if it's maintenance, but for programming.
And I think Des Moines gets the money too from a neighboring city.
They get it from Normandy Park.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. They get, you know, and that's another discussion they'd be having.
I agree for unincorporated King County, right? Wouldn't that be, everyone talks about not being able to access, and not that we want to open the floodgates to priority registration, but people say we're in the pool, even for a lap swim, can we get the Tukwila resident discount? You live right there. But if you do an unincorporated King County contractual piece where they pay a fee annually to be considered Tukwila residents for those resident rates, that's what Des Moines does with Normandy Park.
Yeah, but the challenge they had is they didn't write it up in any capacity initially to have any escalation.
No,
so it got fixed at that 25,000 contribution.
Yeah.
And so now 10 years down the road,
Oh, no.
or whatever, is it 25,000, whatever, it's kind of a small amount. So now that's a conversation about now Normandy Park's even complaining about contributing anyway, but then Des Moines Park's like, well, wait a minute, it's for you to
Because
be
we
able
get a
to
lot of Normandy
discount.
Park folks, right? And so, in no fault to Des Moines, we all go through infrastructure issues, right? And so, if I can't access my pool, what is our money really going to? Or why we're being assessed a fee when we're an aging population and we're not using the facilities? So there's a lot of arguments. And this is coming, you know, anecdotally through our swimmers who Normandy Park in Des Moines who carry 3 pool passes. We hear it all. I'm sure people share things, oh, Tukwila pool's closed, do a pump, I gotta go swim here.
I'm sure.
One time, But it's a balance, right? Because 80% of our operating costs come from people's taxes here.
Right, exactly.
So that's a really interesting study.
Absolutely.
What would the contribution look like from another organization to have parity with rates?
Well, I think that's where the future feasibility study, right? If you build a large enough facility, I think that you can start exploring because you have the capacity to not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
but,
so it's fascinating, how does that look like? So that's a conversation they've been having on, and it's always good, once again, I know they follow us, we follow them, we share information because we're very similar.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a good discussion point.
Does anyone have any I'm just curious, comments, conversation about that, any?
No, it's good to know. I mean, I think sharing that information is very important.
I think the bigger number is more frightening. Vanessa and I sitting for this meeting, learned, right? You could leverage up to, what is it, 24 million without having to.
Oh, no, those are two separate things. So we can leverage each year 4 million.
No, I understand.
But then we
If
can bond, we can borrow money up to 24 million without any voter approval. Anything over 24 up until some ridiculous amount, like hundreds of million, we would have to get voter approval of, is that a 51% or 60%? Yeah, okay, so that to increase our bonding capacity. And that's actually what Steve had to do, because once again, their valuation is so much less of their city that they needed that he said, that's an easier ask to just raise your ability to borrow money from X to
Well,
Y.
and I think that it's important, especially given the situation that we have, people are not, if everybody's asking, if all different organizations are asking for money, then taxpayers at some point are gonna say, enough, I don't care, I don't swim, I don't,
Yeah.
And so we need to be aware of that and the options that we have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then I'll wrap my piece up here with this is, with the discussions we've had with the bonding company, we still have some homework to do. With some of the things he's asked of us from an organizational standpoint, in addition to the audit for our rating. But we've got some numbers to turn in. He'll run some final projections. And so we'll also have kind of a full report that will break down what our options are, what is our capacity, so on and so forth, and the impact. So we'll share that, and that is from DA Center in Seattle.
So I think we met with them at the end of October-ish, and with everything this end of this year,
we'll be able to visually illustrate this same discussion, but specifically tailored to who we are, our members financing, how we levy. So
yeah, it was a great
and he'll run all that at $0.
I did have one miscellaneous, and it was, I was going through city website and I saw that the City of Tukwila Parks Commission has a vacancy. Yeah,
For what?
for their Parks Commission.
No, I understand, but what type of vacancy?
Okay.
They have business? they have
Actually,
residents?
interestingly, they're 3-year terms and they are all community.
Oh,
Yeah, so a position one, that's why I printed it all out, just to make sure I didn't make a mistake. It's all community, 1 through 7, and then a student representative is the additional one. But they have a vacancy, and I just thought that with what we're trying to do for these future and stuff, that maybe one of us would be interested in serving on the Parks Commission to get more insight of what the parks are doing and just to build that relationship. If there was anyone who might be interested in serving on the Parks Commission. It's not a done deal, you have to apply by.
When is the due date?
It's February 15th is the due date.
Okay.
Is there, Andrew?
okay, did you say okay?
I'd be interested.
You'd be interested, would you?
All right.
Okay.
Unless there's somebody else that wants to do it.
No.
No, I think it's an excellent
I think
idea
it's
that
great.
that we partly one of us is able to.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay, so, on the website, city website.
I've looked at it before.
Okay. And just an FYI, the current commissioners are, Sean Albert and Roby Snow, and he's an interesting fellow. We met him at the Parks Commission meeting, and Ellen might remember, I know she was here virtually, but he was the one who had swimming background.
Yeah, I remember him.
And he also had design background. He designed the Sullivan Center, or was involved in it, right?
Yeah.
So interesting. Kathleen Gantz, longtime resident, Gina Bernhard Nielsen, who worked for the city of Bellevue, I think, or worked in Bellevue or something.
Works for.
Yeah, and had but Parks and Recreation understanding, and Joe Camacho, who we know, and then Teo Hunter. So it was a very engaged group of people, is would you agree, Brad?
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed that group of folks, and again, I think they are the right folks for our Parks Commission Board. They want to see parks succeed, and they want to see what, the future of parks looks like, including our current infrastructure and so forth, so you may find it interesting if you're.
I've attended like some of their things for like the master plan for the pond,
Yeah.
or something like that, so.
Okay, so thank you. I think, that you would be an excellent addition. I'd be surprised if we did not choose you. No, that's it of my pages of stuff.
I remembered what it was.
Good. What did I forget?
Did we, communicate with, our athletic director regarding our 4 preferred parking dates for the new year and events? I thought you had.
Yes, they did, but I wrote it down to follow.
Oh, thank
Awesome,
you.
thank you. That's what it was. I am done with miscellaneous.
All right. Listen, good meeting to have a healthy miscellaneous discussion.
You need a motion?
Yes.
We need a motion and we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Saul second.
Is there any discussion on adjourning? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? 7:16. Jennifer will touch.
And they should have closed the shops.
Yes, we can turn it.
Before we.